All right, Jack, I've got a question for you that might just break your brain a little bit today.
Oh, I love those questions, Jill. My brain's pretty resilient. Bring it on. What philosophical quandary are we untangling this morning?
Okay, so you know that voice in your head? The one that narrates your life, tells you what to do, what to say, maybe even sings a little jingle when you're making coffee.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes it's a calm, soothing narrator. Sometimes it's a frantic, panicked squirrel. Depends on the day. Why? Is yours on strike?
Well, imagine for a second, what if you didn't have one? What if that voice, your inner monologue, was just mute, silent, non-existent?
Whoa, that's a wild thought. Like my head would just be quiet? No internal should I have that second donut debates? No pre-rehearsed conversations.
Exactly. No mental chatter, no internal uh-oh when you realize you forgot something, just nothing. Or rather, a different kind of something. Because people do live like this, you know?
Really? I honestly assumed everyone had that constant stream of consciousness. It's like the soundtrack to my existence. How do you even, think without words?
Right? It's called anendophasia for the absence of an inner voice, or it's often grouped under the broader umbrella of aphantasia, which is the lack of a mind's eye. But specifically for the voice, it's pretty fascinating. Imagine trying to read a book.
Okay, so when I read, I always hear the words in my head. Not necessarily my voice, but like a neutral narrator. So, for someone without an inner voice, would it just be seeing the words, like pure visual intake?
That's what many describe. They just process the meaning. It's not auditory. It's like the concept just lands, which for me sounds like speed reading on steroids, honestly.
That's actually a super interesting point. So, while I'm internally debating the nuances of Chapter three's dialogue, they've already absorbed the entire plot. Maybe it's a superpower we never knew existed.
Totally. Think about it, Jack. No internal critic telling you messed up that presentation. No relentless earworm playing that annoying pop song on repeat for 3 days straight. Sounds like peace, doesn't it?
You make a compelling argument. My inner voice is responsible for at least 70% of my anxieties. But then, how do you plan things? Like, if I'm trying to figure out what to say in a difficult conversation, I'll run through scenarios in my head. I'll hear myself say it.
Right, so that's where it gets interesting. From what I've read and heard from people who experience this, they might think in concepts, in feelings, in visual sequences. Like, they're not hearing words, but they're still performing complex mental operations. It's just a different pathway.
So instead of, okay, I need to tell Sarah that the deadline is Friday, it's more like a series of interconnected nodes in their brain. Sarah, concept, deadline, concept, Friday, concept. No audible words, just pure data transfer?
Pretty much. Or maybe they visualize the email they're going to send or the calendar notification. It's not less thinking, it's just thinking without the spoken word component, which frankly makes my internal monologue sound a bit inefficient sometimes.
Inefficient? Mine sounds like a committee meeting where everyone's shouting. I could definitely use a little less internal dialogue. Imagine going to a noisy party and you can just be there without your brain constantly commenting on the terrible music or the questionable fashion choices.
Oh, that's a dream. The internal running commentary is exhausting sometimes. Did I say that right? Should I have worn this? Is that person judging me? All happening simultaneously. Whereas for someone without the voice, perhaps it's more about experiencing the moment directly.
So it's almost like a super present mode of existence. Less rumination, maybe? I mean, a huge part of anxiety for me is just the looping thoughts, the internal voice catastrophizing.
Exactly. It forces you to consider that our way of thinking isn't the only way, or even the best way. It's just a way. And what seems normal to us, like a constant internal narrative, might be completely alien to someone else.
Okay, so let's put it this way. How do they deal with, say, trying to remember a shopping list without mentally reciting it? Or trying to learn a new language?
For a shopping list, they might be incredibly visual. So instead of milk, bread, eggs, they picture the milk carton, the loaf of bread, the egg carton in their mind. It's a different form of mental rehearsal. For language learning, it's often more about association, context, and perhaps even muscle memory for the pronunciation, rather than mentally translating or hearing the words in their head.
That's actually fascinating. I'm imagining a person learning French, and instead of mentally conjugating verbs, they're just seeing flashcards of actions and objects, and the sounds just come out. Like directly mapping concept to sound, bypassing the internal word formation.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how much our internal voice is a crutch sometimes, or how much it shapes our perception of reality. If you're not constantly verbalizing your experiences to yourself, maybe you perceive things in a more raw, unfiltered way.
I mean, how do you even tell someone you don't have an inner voice? Most people would just look at you like you're from another planet. What do you mean you don't talk to yourself?
Totally. It's one of those things where it's so fundamental to our experience, we assume it's universal. And for many people, they didn't even realize it was unusual until they stumbled upon discussions online or articles about it. Imagine living your whole life assuming everyone thinks like you, only to find out it's a completely different mental landscape for others.
That's like finding out everyone else sees an ultraviolet and you just thought the world looked a bit dull. It's a total paradigm shift. It also makes me wonder how many philosophical debates about consciousness are missing a huge piece of the puzzle because they assume a universal internal experience.
Right? It just goes to show you the incredible diversity of human minds, and it challenges the idea that thinking is talking to yourself. Thinking is so much broader than that. It can be visual, emotional, abstract, spatial, kinesthetic. It doesn't have to be auditory or verbal at all.
Okay, so what about dreams? When I dream, sometimes I'll hear voices, sometimes it's like a narration of the dream. Do people without an inner voice have silent dreams too, or are their dreamscapes different?
That's another fascinating layer. From anecdotal evidence, it seems their dreams are often much more visual and experiential, rather than narrative-driven, like a silent movie with strong emotional undertones, or a series of vivid images and sensations without the internal commentary or dialogue we might experience.
So, imagine trying to tell someone about a dream like that. Yeah, I had this dream where I was just seeing things, and it felt like falling, but there were no words.
Which is probably why we all use so many metaphors when describing dreams anyway, because even with an inner voice, dreams often defy verbal description. It just goes to show how limited our language can be in conveying the richness of internal experience.
This whole thing makes me feel like I've been walking around with earmuffs on, and someone just told me there's a whole symphony playing that I've been missing. Or, conversely, that I'm the one making all the noise and they're enjoying the silence.
It's all about perspective, isn't it? And it's a great reminder that our subjective experience of the world is just that, subjective. There's no single normal brain. We're all wired a little differently.
And that's actually super inspirational when you think about it. It means there's no right or wrong way to think, to process, to exist. It opens up so many possibilities for creativity and problem solving if we stop trying to fit everyone into one cognitive box.
Absolutely. Instead of assuming everyone hears a character's voice when reading, maybe some people are just immersing themselves in pure imagery and emotion, and that's equally valid, maybe even more efficient for certain tasks.
It also explains why some people are just naturally more visual learners, or why some excel at spatial reasoning in a way others can't quite grasp. It might literally be how their brain structures thought.
Precisely. So next time your inner voice is telling you to eat that whole bag of chips, remember there are people out there whose brains are just silently contemplating the existential beauty of a potato chip, probably with less guilt.
Less guilt, definitely, and probably more efficiency, too. I'm almost jealous. But hey, I guess my inner monologue and I have a bond. We've been through a lot. I'd miss him, even if he is a bit of a nag sometimes.
That's fair. Embrace your inner chatterbox, Jack. And for everyone out there who might be listening in glorious silence, know that your unique way of experiencing the world is pretty incredible too. It just highlights the sheer wonder of the human mind.
Well said, Jill. It's truly mind-expanding to realize how many different internal worlds exist. Thanks for making my internal voice shut up for a second and just think about that.
Anytime, Jack. It's been a fascinating journey into the silent minds among us. Until next time, keep thinking in whatever wonderful way your brain prefers.